Discovery. Beneath the endless waves of the Pacific Ocean, where sunlight barely reaches, a research submersible named Horizon Explorer quietly drifted. Its crew, led by marine biologist Dr. Amanda Reeves, was on a mission to study deep-sea volcanic activity. They had spent weeks mapping the ocean floor, searching for signs of geothermal vents. What they found, however, was far beyond anything they could have imagined. "Captain, look at this," Amanda said, her voice filled with both excitement and confusion. She pointed to the sonar display on the submersible's control panel. A strange, perfectly symmetrical structure was appearing on the screen. It didn't look natural. No volcanic formation could create such precise geometry. The shape was massive, stretching farther than the sub-sensors could detect. "Is that a ridge?" asked Sam, the young geophysicist sitting beside her. His tone betrayed his disbelief. Amanda shook her head. "No," she replied firmly. "That's not natural. It's something else." As the submersible approached the anomaly, the floodlights illuminated a surface that shimmered like polished metal. It was unlike anything they had ever seen at this depth. The structure seemed to pulse faintly, as though it were alive. Strange patterns covered its surface, glowing faintly in the dark water. "It looks constructed," Amanda whispered, her breath fogging the inside of her helmet. Her words hung in the silence, broken only by the hum of the sub's engines. Suddenly, an alert beeped on the control panel. "What's that?" Sam asked, leaning forward to check. The sub's sensors were picking up a signal, an artificial one. A rhythmic series of beeps echoed through the cabin, growing louder and more frequent. "It's some kind of code," Amanda said, her mind racing. She activated the sub's recording system to capture the signal. But who or what could send a signal from this depth? The crew's unease grew as the signal continued. It wasn't random. The beeps were forming a sequence, almost like a countdown. 30, 29, 28. Sam counted, his voice trembling. "A countdown? To what?" Amanda asked, her eyes wide. She pressed a button to send a message to the surface team, but the communication line was filled with static. Then, as the countdown reached 10, the sub began to shake. A low rumble echoed through the ocean, and the glowing patterns on the structure flared to life, casting eerie light across the deep sea. The sub's instruments went haywire, and alarms blared inside the cabin. "Systems are failing," shouted Captain Harris, gripping the controls tightly. "We're losing power." Through the viewport, Amanda saw the structure shift. Panels slid open, revealing an enormous metallic dome beneath. The pulsing lights intensified, and an immense shadow began to rise from the seabed. "What is that?" Sam gasped, his voice barely audible over the alarms. The shadow grew larger, taking the form of a colossal ship, unlike anything humanity had ever conceived. It looked ancient yet impossibly advanced, with lines and curves that defied conventional engineering. As the countdown reached 0, a shockwave erupted from the ship, pushing the submersible back. The lights flickered, and the crew screamed as the sub spiraled out of control. Amanda clung to her seat, her heart pounding. "We're being dragged," Captain Harris yelled. The ship's energy field had ensnared them, pulling them closer to the massive structure. The last thing Amanda saw before the subsystems went dark was a symbol etched onto the ship's surface, a circle surrounded by intricate lines. It seemed almost human. Then everything went black. Above the ocean, on the research vessel Poseidon, the surface team watched in horror as the sub-signal disappeared from their screens. The ocean began to churn violently, as if something vast and powerful was awakening beneath. "Amanda, do you copy?" The team leader shouted into the radio, but there was no response. Far below, hidden from the eyes of the world, the ship's engines roared to life. The countdown was over. Something had been activated, something that would change humanity's fate forever. As the crew of the Poseidon scrambled to understand what had happened, they had no idea that their discovery was already sending shockwaves across the galaxy. The revelation. The world above remained unaware of the magnitude of what had just occurred deep within the Pacific Ocean. On board the research vessel Poseidon, tension was palpable. The crew worked frantically, trying to re-establish contact with the submersible Horizon Explorer. Still no response. Commander Davis barked as he entered the control room. "Nothing, sir," replied a technician, her fingers flying over the keyboard. "It's like they vanished." The command room went silent as the screens flickered. Suddenly, an unfamiliar signal appeared. A series of symbols and patterns, accompanied by a strange hum. It was coming from directly below their position. "Is this interference from the sub?" Davis asked. "No, sir. It's external. Global unrest." News of the submersible's disappearance quickly reached global agencies. Within hours, world governments were scrambling for answers. Satellite images revealed seismic activity spreading across the ocean floor, but what caught everyone's attention was the energy signature. It was immense, unlike anything recorded before. The United Nations convened an emergency meeting. Officials from major powers traded theories and accusations. Some suspected underwater weapons tests. Others whispered about alien involvement. Only one voice, calm and unshaken, broke through the noise. Dr. Elena Carter, a renowned physicist and whistleblower, had been monitoring the situation. Known for her controversial theories about ancient alien artifacts on Earth, she released a startling statement. "This energy signature is not random," she declared in a live broadcast. "It matches a pattern I've studied for decades. The oceans are hiding something vast and ancient." Her words ignited public curiosity and fear. Could it be true? Could Earth's oceans conceal a secret that had been there all along? A leak and a legacy. As tensions rose, classified documents from global intelligence agencies began leaking online. Files revealed that this wasn't the first time the anomaly had been detected. For decades, faint signals had been recorded deep beneath the Pacific, but governments dismissed them as natural phenomena or kept the findings secret. Dr. Carter pieced together these leaks with her own research. She discovered that the anomaly matched patterns found in ancient ruins across the world. Symbols etched into megalithic structures, long thought to be decorative, were identical to the strange markings recorded by the Poseidon. These symbols, Carter theorized, belonged to a civilization older than humanity's recorded history. What truly shook her was the timing. The signals seemed to activate every 2,000 years, as if on a cycle. But this time, they were louder, stronger, and clearer. Something had changed. The rising fleet. Back on the Poseidon, the crew's instruments picked up something unprecedented. The ocean floor beneath them was moving. Massive plumes of bubbles erupted to the surface, and the ship began to sway as the sea churned violently. "Get us out of here," Commander Davis shouted, but it was too late. The ocean glowed an eerie blue as massive structures began to rise. What first appeared to be jagged rock formations soon revealed themselves as enormous ships, coated in centuries of marine life. Each vessel was the size of a skyscraper, their surfaces etched with glowing runes and patterns. The crew of the Poseidon stared in awe and terror as one ship after another broke through the waves. The fleet's sheer size was incomprehensible. Thousands of vessels, all dormant yet humming with latent energy. "We need to inform the world," Davis muttered, his voice trembling. Before they could react, one of the ships emitted a low, resonating sound. The noise wasn't random. It was a message. A deep, mechanical voice echoed across the ocean. "HFY Sci-Fi, awaiting authorization." A global broadcast. The message wasn't just heard by the Poseidon. Across the planet, radios, televisions, and even cell phones transmitted the same signal. It was as if the entire world had tuned into one frequency. People stopped in their tracks, staring at their devices in confusion and fear. Governments scrambled to decode the message, But Dr. Carter was the first to publish her findings. The voice, it's speaking to us. It's not alien, it's human, she announced during a live broadcast. Her statement sent shockwaves through the scientific community. How could such advanced technology be of human origin? And who, or what, had left it behind? The galactic reaction. Unbeknownst to Earth, the activation of the fleet had not gone unnoticed. Across the galaxy, ancient sensors designed to monitor the fleet's status began blinking for the first time in millennia. Alien civilizations, long unaware of Earth's hidden legacy, now turned their attention to the small blue planet. To some species, the fleet represented an unmatched weapon, a prize to be claimed. To others, it was a threat. Either way, Earth was no longer just a backwater planet. It was now a galactic focal point. Cliffhanger. A new message. As the world reeled from the revelation, a second message boomed from the ships. This time, it was clear and undeniable. They are coming. On board the Poseidon, Amanda Reeves, miraculously alive but stranded within one of the rising ships, stared at the control panels. The same symbol she'd seen before, etched into the ship's hull, now glowed brightly. Beneath it, words scrolled in a language that felt oddly familiar. "Welcome back, humankind. Galactic attention." Across the galaxy, hidden sensors blinked to life, emitting silent warnings to civilizations that had long forgotten their purpose. On distant worlds, ancient warlords stirred, scholars pored over forgotten archives, and armadas quietly mobilized. The activation of Earth's hidden fleet was not a local event. It was a galactic alarm bell. The Galactic Council reacts. On Altheron Prime, a shining metropolis built across a network of colossal space stations, the Galactic Council convened. This body of powerful species had maintained uneasy peace in the galaxy for centuries. The council chamber buzzed with nervous energy as representatives reviewed holograms of Earth's rising fleet. "This technology predates us all," growled Jurak Veen, a hulking reptilian commander. "We thought it was lost forever." "The humans have no idea what they're dealing with," countered Vera Solon, a slender, crystalline figure whose voice resonated like chimes. "If they unlock the fleet's full potential, they will upset the balance of power. We must act," boomed the towering insectoid arbiter Thrix, clicking its mandibles. "A fleet of this scale could crush the entire council. The humans cannot be allowed to control it." A mixed response. While some species viewed the fleet as a threat, others saw opportunity. A clandestine meeting took place on the dark side of a moon orbiting Corvin 6, home to the exiled pirate king, Calix Draenor. His scared face twisted into a grin as he studied the images of Earth's fleet. "If humans don't know how to use their toys, we'll take them," he said to his crew of outlaws. "Prepare the ships. Earth is about to receive some visitors." Meanwhile, the mysterious and ancient Parnix observers, a race that rarely interfered in galactic affairs, began transmitting cryptic warnings to their allies. "Do not engage. This fleet belongs to the first ones. To awaken it is to invite the wrath of the forgotten." Earth's struggles. Back on Earth, chaos erupted. The discovery of the fleet had divided the world. Some saw it as humanity's salvation, a means to protect the planet from any threat. Others feared it would bring destruction. Protests filled the streets as governments declared martial law, racing to claim ownership of the fleet. In the midst of the turmoil, Dr. Elena Carter found herself thrust into the global spotlight. Her research and insights into the fleet made her the leading authority on the unfolding mystery. But as she addressed the United Nations Security Council, she delivered a chilling warning. "These ships are not just weapons," she said, her voice steady despite the tension in the room. "They're a message, a reminder of who we once were. And now, they've called out to the galaxy. Others are coming, and we are not prepared." Her words were met with silence, broken only by the buzzing of phones and radios as a new message from the fleet played worldwide. "Unlock the Pirotokol. Humanity's legacy awaits. A race against time. The message reignited the global scramble for control. Each nation deployed teams to investigate the rising fleet, but none could breach the ship's hulls. The vessels remained sealed, impervious to human technology. Frustration grew as days passed, and the looming presence of the alien ships in orbit added to the tension. Dr. Carter, working tirelessly from her lab, finally made a breakthrough. By analyzing the ship's signals, she discovered they responded to a specific type of DNA, human DNA. But it wasn't just any DNA. It matched markers found only in ancient remains of early humans, suggesting a connection to a lost branch of humanity. Before she could reveal her findings, an encrypted message appeared on her terminal. It read, "They are coming. Prepare the fleet." The first alien arrival. As humanity scrambled to understand its ancient inheritance, the first alien ships appeared in Earth's orbit. The sleek, predatory vessels of the Threxian Dominion emerged from hyperspace, their dark silhouettes blotting out the stars. They hailed Earth with a single demand: surrender the fleet or face annihilation. The United Nations responded with diplomacy, but it quickly became clear the Threxians weren't interested in peace. Their scans of the fleet revealed its immense firepower, and they would stop at nothing to claim it. As the Threxians prepared to descend, Earth's leaders realized they had no way to defend themselves. Humanity's modern weapons were no match for alien technology. The first activation. Desperation turned to hope when one of the dormant ships unexpectedly powered up. The massive vessel, now glowing with an ethereal blue light, rose from the ocean and hovered over the Pacific like a guardian. Its energy field disrupted the Threxian fleet's sensors, and its cannons, silent for millennia, aimed skyward. Inside the ship, Amanda Reeves, the missing marine biologist from the Horizon Explorer, found herself alive and inside the control room. Strange interfaces lit up around her, displaying symbols and glyphs. To her astonishment, the ship seemed to respond to her presence. A calm, mechanical voice spoke in a language she could somehow understand. "Welcome, pilot. Humanity's legacy must be protected." Cliffhanger. The galaxy watches. As Amanda struggled to understand the ship's controls, the vessel fired a single devastating beam into space. The Threxian ships scattered, their shields failing under the ancient weapon's power. The victory was short-lived. Across the galaxy, factions now understood that Earth's fleet was not dormant, and it could fight back. In the Galactic Council chambers, Jirak Veen snarled, "The humans have made their choice. Now we make ours." On Earth, Amanda's voice crackled over the global communication network. "We need to activate the rest of the fleet. This is only the beginning." Humanity's decision. The world was teetering on the edge of chaos. Amanda Reeves' broadcast from within the alien ship had stunned humanity. Governments scrambled to interpret her message, while the public demanded answers. Protesters filled the streets of major cities, chanting slogans like "Activate the fleet" and "Protect Earth." Meanwhile, rival nations secretly deployed their best scientists and soldiers to claim the dormant ships rising across the oceans. The message from the Threxian Dominion had united humanity in fear, but Amanda's revelation ignited something deeper, a spark of hope. For the first time in history, humanity stood on the brink of wielding unimaginable power. But the question loomed: could they control it? The race to control the fleet. Inside a hidden U.S. military facility, General Nathaniel Graves reviewed live footage of the rising ships. He turned to his team of scientists, who were frantically analyzing Amanda's broadcast and the glowing runes on the ship's hulls. "Tell me we have a way to breach these things," Graves demanded. "We're working on it, sir," replied Dr. Hayes, a leading engineer. "But everything we've tried so far has failed. The material these ships are made of, it's impenetrable." Graves' jaw tightened. "Then find another way. We can't let anyone else claim these ships. Not Russia, not China, and definitely not the Threxians." Meanwhile, in a secret research base in Siberia, Russian scientists were making progress of their own. Using fragments of ancient artifacts recovered from a deep-sea archaeological dig decades ago, they managed to interface with one of the smaller ships. For a brief moment, it powered up, but then shut down, as if rejecting them. Across the globe, similar efforts were underway, with no success. The ships remained silent, as if waiting for a specific key to unlock their secrets. Amanda's awakening. Inside the colossal ship she had accidentally activated, Amanda Reeves was far from helpless. The ship seemed alive, responding to her movements and even her thoughts. Strange holograms displayed symbols and maps she couldn't understand, but the ship's voice guided her. "Pilot," the voice said calmly, "your genetic signature is authorized. You are linked to the core." "What core?" Amanda asked, her voice shaky. "Why me?" The ship displayed an image, a glowing orb at the center of what appeared to be the entire fleet. "The core is the heart of the fleet. Only a true descendant of the first ones may unlock its full potential." Amanda's heart raced. "The first ones? You mean humans? Ancient humans?" The voice did not answer directly. Instead, it showed her Earth, surrounded by the ships now rising from the oceans. "Your people were once the guardians of this galaxy. The fleet was built to defend against the great enemy, but you forgot. Now, you must remember." Galactic movements. While humanity struggled to comprehend the fleet, the rest of the galaxy was already preparing for war. The Threxian Dominion, humiliated by their failed attack, sent a distress signal to their allies. Armadas began to converge on Earth, drawn not only by the fleet's power, but also by fear of what humanity might become. The enigmatic Parnix observers, however, took a different approach. On their homeworld, deep within a crystalline temple, their leader gazed into a swirling pool of light. "The humans awaken the old powers," the leader intoned. "It is as it was foretold. They must not fall into the hands of the unbound." Their cryptic warning spread through the galaxy, further complicating the already volatile situation. The distress call. Back on Earth, Dr. Elena Carter deciphered more of the signals coming from the fleet. She discovered that the activation of the ships had triggered a distress call, a signal sent out into deep space. "This isn't just about the fleet," Elena said during a live broadcast. "These ships were a warning system. They're calling something, or someone, back to Earth." Her words caused panic. Was the distress call summoning help for humanity, or something far worse? The Threxian Dominion's fleet, hovering ominously above the planet, seemed like just the beginning of their problems. Humanity's choice. Amid the global chaos, the United Nations convened a historic meeting. Representatives from every nation debated whether to try activating the fleet or keep it dormant. Some feared the risks of awakening more ships, while others argued that humanity had no choice. "It's not just about survival," Dr. Carter argued, addressing the assembly. "This fleet is our heritage. It's proof that humanity is more than we ever imagined. If we don't take control of it, someone else will." Her words were met with both applause and resistance. But before a decision could be made, an explosion rocked the meeting hall. A group of rogue militants, believing the fleet was humanity's ultimate weapon, stormed the building, demanding immediate activation of the ships. The world was unraveling, and the clock was ticking. The first human pilot. In the midst of the chaos, Amanda Reeves made a critical discovery. The ship she was in began projecting images from its memory banks, scenes of ancient battles, where humans wielded the fleet to repel monstrous invaders. The ships had once been the galaxy's greatest shield, but their creators had vanished, leaving only fragments of their legacy. Amanda knew what she had to do. Following the ship's guidance, she initiated a sequence that linked her consciousness to the vessel. The interface lit up, and the ship responded with newfound energy. From the depths of the Pacific, the vessel rose higher into the sky, joining a cluster of other activated ships. For the first time, humanity had a pilot. Amanda's voice echoed across the globe, broadcast from the ship's communication systems. "We don't have time to argue. The galaxy is watching, and they're coming for us. I'll fight if I have to, but I can't do it alone. We need to activate the fleet. Now. Cliffhanger. A new threat. As Amanda's ship ascended, she saw something that froze her blood. In the distance, the Threxian fleet had multiplied. Hundreds of new ships now orbited Earth, their weapons trained on the planet. But that wasn't the worst part. Beyond the Threxians, a shadow moved in the void of space, vast and incomprehensible. It was no ship, it was something alive. And it was heading straight for Earth. The first contact. The shadow in space grew larger, a colossal entity that seemed to absorb the starlight around it. Humanity's new nightmare had arrived. The Threxian fleet, now hundreds strong, paused their advance as the galactic void gave way to an unimaginable sight, a massive organic construct resembling a living fortress. Its surface pulsated with veins of light, and its tendrils reached out like arms seeking prey. The Unbound. Aboard the activated ship, Amanda Reeves struggled to comprehend the readings flooding her interface. The ship's voice, calm but urgent, explained the threat. The Unbound have come. They are the great enemy, the destroyers of the first ones. Their goal is extinction. Prepare to engage. The Unbound, Amanda murmured. Her mind raced with questions. What were these beings? Why had they come now? Before she could ask more, a broadcast cut through all frequencies. The Unbound's voice was not a voice at all. It was a feeling, a deep, bone-chilling sense of despair that seeped into every mind on Earth. You awaken the relics of your ancestors, yet you remain unworthy. Return the fleet to silence, or face annihilation. The world froze. For a moment, even the Threxian armada, notorious for their ruthlessness, held their position. The arrival of the Unbound had shifted the balance of power. A fragile alliance. In orbit, the Threxian flagship sent an urgent message to Earth. General Korvac, a grizzled warrior with scarred scales, appeared on screens worldwide. Humans, he growled, his voice laced with reluctant respect. You have activated a fleet that even the Dominion fears, but the Unbound are beyond all of us. If they consume your planet, they will not stop. They will spread across the galaxy. The message was clear. The Threxians, sworn enemies of Earth, were offering an uneasy truce. Humanity had a choice: join forces with their alien rivals or face the Unbound alone. Dr. Carter's breakthrough. Meanwhile, Dr. Elena Carter worked tirelessly to decode the ancient language etched into the fleet's hulls. Using Amanda's live feed from the activated ship, she made a startling discovery. The fleet had a failsafe, a way to combat the Unbound, but it required full activation of the core. The core is the key, Carter explained during a global broadcast. If we can activate it, the fleet will operate as a single, unified entity. But without it, the ships are just scattered fragments. Her words galvanized humanity. Around the world, teams raced to access the dormant ships. Soldiers, engineers, and scientists worked together, breaking past old rivalries in a desperate bid to prepare for the coming battle. The battle begins. The Unbound wasted no time. Tendrils of their massive fortress extended toward Earth, swatting aside Threxian ships like flies. Each impact released bursts of energy, tearing through the atmosphere and creating devastating storms across the planet. In the Pacific, Amanda's ship moved on its own, positioning itself between the Unbound and Earth. The interface glowed brighter as the ship's weapons charged. Engaging primary systems. Protecting the core is imperative. Amanda gripped the controls, her heart pounding. She wasn't a soldier, but she had no choice. Her ship unleashed a beam of blinding light, striking one of the Unbound's tendrils. The attack tore through the organic mass, causing the entity to recoil. The Threxians, emboldened by Amanda's actions, joined the fight. Their ships swarmed the Unbound, delivering coordinated strikes. It was the first time humanity and the Dominion had fought side by side. The core's call. As the battle raged, Dormant ships across the globe began to stir. Dr. Carter's research team discovered that the core was hidden deep within the Atlantic Ocean, buried beneath layers of sediment and coral. It was the largest ship of all, a central hub that could synchronize the entire fleet. But accessing it wasn't simple. The core required a human pilot with the right genetic signature, one descended from the ancient humans who had built the fleet. Amanda's DNA was the only match so far, but she was locked in battle with the Unbound. "Can we extract her remotely?" General Graves asked, his tone desperate. "No," Carter replied. "She's the only one keeping the Unbound at bay. If she leaves, we lose." Sacrifice and strategy. Amanda's ship took heavy damage as the Unbound focused their attention on her. She pushed the vessel to its limits, evading strikes and returning fire. But even with the Threxians' help, it wasn't enough. From her position, Amanda saw the core's location on her interface. The ship's voice spoke again. "Pilot, your presence is required at the core. This vessel will continue the battle." "You're telling me to leave?" Amanda asked, her voice breaking. "I can't just abandon this fight. The fleet must unite. Humanity depends on it." Tears streamed down Amanda's face as she made her decision. She initiated the ship's autopilot and stepped away from the controls. In an instant, a beam of light enveloped her, and she was transported to the core. Cliffhanger. The Awakening. Amanda arrived inside the core, a cavernous space filled with glowing orbs and ancient machinery. The ship's voice now surrounded her. "Pilot, place your hand on the interface. The core will recognize you." She hesitated, her hand trembling. Through the core's displays, she saw Earth burning, the Unbound pressing their advantage. The Threxian fleet was faltering, and the Unbound's tendrils were reaching closer to the planet's surface. Amanda took a deep breath and placed her hand on the glowing interface. The core lit up, sending a shockwave across the ocean. Dormant ships worldwide powered up, their lights piercing through the seas and skies. Above Earth, the Unbound paused as the fleet began to move as one. The battle was far from over, but for the first time, humanity had a fighting chance. The hidden truth. The core pulsed with an ancient, radiant energy as Amanda's touch triggered a sequence of events that no human or alien could fully comprehend. Across Earth's oceans, the dormant ships, now fully activated, began to ascend into the atmosphere, forming a massive orbital shield around the planet. The lights of the fleet illuminated the darkened skies, casting an eerie glow visible from every corner of Earth. Inside the core, Amanda Reeves was overwhelmed by visions, fragmented memories that didn't belong to her but felt strangely familiar. She saw towering cities built by an ancient civilization, human-like beings standing shoulder to shoulder against monstrous foes, and the construction of the fleet itself, an act of desperation in the face of certain extinction. "Who are they?" Amanda whispered. The core's voice answered, resonating through the cavernous space. "They were you. Humanity was not born on Earth. It was reborn here, after the fall." The true history of humanity. The core revealed the truth. Humanity was once the dominant force in the galaxy, the creators of the fleet and protectors of countless worlds. They had built the ships to combat the Unbound, a relentless entity that consumed entire star systems. But even with their advanced technology, the ancient humans could not stop the Unbound. They retreated, scattering their people to distant worlds. Earth was one of those worlds, chosen as a sanctuary for its isolation and abundance of life. Over millennia, humanity's origins were forgotten, buried under the sands of time. The fleet was left behind as a safeguard, hidden beneath the oceans and locked behind genetic keys that only their descendants could access. "You mean, we've been living on a refuge this whole time?" Amanda asked, her voice shaking. "Earth was meant to be your new beginning," the core replied. "But now it must become your battleground." A galaxy divided. The activation of the core sent shockwaves not just through Earth but across the galaxy. On Altheron Prime, The Galactic Council erupted into chaos. Some members, like the crystalline Vera Solon, argued for immediate intervention. If the humans truly are the first ones, they are the only hope we have against the unbound, she declared. We must aid them. Others, like Jorak Veen of the Threxian Dominion, vehemently opposed the idea. Humans are reckless and unpredictable. If they gain control of that fleet, they'll turn it on us the moment the unbound are defeated. The council remained deadlocked, their indecision reflecting the galaxy's unease. Meanwhile, smaller factions and opportunistic groups moved in the shadows, preparing to exploit the chaos for their own gain. Amanda's command. Back in the core, Amanda felt a shift in the fleet. The ships were no longer acting independently. They were now linked, responding to her thoughts and commands. Through the core's interface, she saw the battlefield above Earth, the Unbound's massive fortress, the scattered Threxian ships, and the human fleet forming a defensive line. The core spoke again. The fleet is ready. Pilot. Command them. Amanda hesitated. I'm not a soldier. I don't know how to lead a battle. You are more than a soldier, the core replied. You are the inheritor of humanity's legacy. Trust the fleet, and they will trust you. Taking a deep breath, Amanda issued her first command. The fleet responded instantly, their formations tightening, their weapons charging. The Unbound fortress, sensing the change, launched a new wave of attacks, its tendrils lashing out with terrifying speed. The Threxian betrayal. As humanity's fleet clashed with the Unbound, the Threxian Dominion revealed their true intentions. A small squadron of Threxian ships broke off from the battle, heading straight for the core's location. Their goal was clear: to seize control of the fleet and use it for their own empire. Inside the core, alarms blared as Amanda saw the Threxians approaching. She called out to the fleet, directing a squadron of human ships to intercept them. The ensuing battle was fierce, with both sides suffering heavy losses. Despite their advanced technology, the Threxians underestimated the unity and firepower of the human fleet. The betrayal galvanized humanity. Across the globe, people watched as their fleet fought not just the Unbound, but also the Threxians. For the first time in centuries, humanity stood together, united against common enemies. The Unbound's counterattack. The Unbound, sensing their fortress was vulnerable, unleashed a new weapon. Massive organic pods shot toward Earth, breaking through the atmosphere and landing in densely populated cities. From these pods emerged smaller Unbound creatures, terrifying amalgamations of flesh and energy that began wreaking havoc. On the ground, humanity fought back with everything they had. Soldiers, civilians, and even rogue militants united to defend their homes. Dr. Carter, coordinating efforts from a fortified command center, developed a plan to use the fleet's orbital cannons to target the pods before they could land. Amanda executed the plan flawlessly. The fleet's weapons lit up the skies, destroying pod after pod. But it wasn't enough. For every pod destroyed, two more seemed to take its place. Cliffhanger. The final memory. As Amanda struggled to hold the line, the core revealed one last vision. She saw the face of an ancient leader, a woman who looked eerily like her. The leader stood before a council of other humans, delivering a final, desperate message. The Unbound cannot be destroyed by weapons alone. To end them, we must awaken the heart. The heart? Amanda asked aloud. The core's voice responded, its tone heavier than before. The heart of the fleet, the weapon of last resort. But its activation requires a great sacrifice. What kind of sacrifice? Amanda demanded. The core did not answer. Instead, it displayed the location of the heart, deep within the Unbound fortress. Amanda clenched her fists, her resolve hardening. She opened a channel to the fleet and Earth below. "This is Amanda Reeves," she said, her voice steady. "We have one chance to end this. I'm taking the fight to the Unbound fortress. I need every ship, every soldier, and every ounce of courage we have. Humanity was born to fight this battle, and we won't fail again." As the fleet prepared for the final push, Amanda knew the cost of victory could be everything. Humanity strikes back. The fleets converged in the void of space, the glowing armada of humanity's ships surrounding the monstrous organic fortress of the Unbound. The heart, the weapon of last resort, pulsed faintly from the depths of the fortress, its location clear to Amanda Reeves through the core's connection. She knew the path forward, but the cost would be unimaginable. On Earth, humanity watched in breathless silence as the battle unfolded on live broadcasts. For the first time in recorded history, they were witnessing not just a fight for survival, but for their place in the galaxy. The charge into the fortress. Amanda's voice echoed across the fleet as she rallied her forces. This is our moment. The Unbound want us to believe we're weak. They want us to surrender. But humanity doesn't surrender. We rise. The fleet surged forward, their weapons blazing. The Unbound responded with devastating tendrils of energy, ripping through ships and sending shockwaves that could be felt in Earth's atmosphere. Yet, humanity pressed on. Each ship acted in unison, their movements guided by Amanda's commands through the core. The Threxians, still licking their wounds from their failed betrayal, watched from a distance, unwilling to risk further losses. But their hesitation only solidified humanity's determination. This was their fight. The ground offensive. While the battle raged in space, Earth's defenders faced the chaos unleashed by the Unbound pods. In cities across the globe, the creatures swarmed, wreaking havoc. Soldiers and civilians alike fought back with improvised weapons and sheer grit. Dr. Elena Carter, operating from a bunker beneath Washington, D.C., coordinated a global defense strategy. Using newly established links to the fleet's orbital weapons, she directed precision strikes that obliterated the pods before they could release more creatures. We're holding them off, she reported, but we won't last long without the fleet's full power. Infiltrating the fortress, Amanda and a small team of elite pilots, each commanding a powerful warship, broke through the Unbound's defensive perimeter and entered the fortress. Inside, they were met with a surreal landscape. Walls that shifted like living tissue, corridors that seemed to lead everywhere and nowhere. The Unbound's fortress wasn't just a weapon, it was alive. The ship's sensors struggled to adapt to the alien environment, but the core guided Amanda. The heart is near, it whispered. As they pressed forward, tendrils of the fortress came to life, attacking the ships with ferocious speed. Amanda's team fought valiantly, but one by one, they fell, their ships consumed by the Unbound. By the time Amanda reached the heart's chamber, she was alone. The truth of the heart. The heart wasn't what Amanda expected. It was a massive, pulsating orb, its surface covered in symbols similar to those on the fleet's hulls. The core explained. The heart is both a weapon and a key. It can destroy the Unbound, but it will also awaken humanity's full potential. The cost is yours to bear. Amanda approached the heart, her mind racing. What kind of cost? Your essence must merge with the heart. It will take your life force to activate. Amanda froze. This was it, the great sacrifice the core had hinted at, her life for humanity's future. She thought of the people on Earth, the ships fighting above her, and the ancient legacy she had rediscovered. This was bigger than her. I understand, she said, her voice steady. She placed her hand on the heart. The heart awakens. A surge of energy coursed through Amanda, connecting her to the heart, the fleet, and humanity itself. Visions flooded her mind, memories of the ancient human civilization, their triumphs, their mistakes, and their hope. She felt the weight of their legacy and the power they had entrusted to her. The heart began to glow brighter, its energy spreading through the fortress. The Unbound recoiled, their tendrils disintegrating as the light touched them. The fortress itself began to collapse, its organic structure crumbling under the heart's power. Above, the fleet synchronized, their weapons firing in perfect harmony. Beams of light tore through the Unbound's remaining forces, obliterating them with surgical precision. The final sacrifice. As the heart reached its peak energy, Amanda felt her strength fading. The core's voice spoke one last time. Humanity will remember you, Amanda Reeves. You are the spark that reignited the flame. Amanda smiled faintly, her body dissolving into pure energy as the heart released its final burst. A wave of radiant light spread across the galaxy, erasing the Unbound completely. Their fortress shattered into fragments, leaving nothing but silence. The battle was over. Humanity's new dawn. On Earth, the skies cleared, and the world watched as the fleet returned to orbit, now fully active and glowing with power. A broadcast echoed from the ships, Amanda's voice preserved by the core. We are humanity. We are the guardians of this galaxy, and we are ready. The Galactic Council, stunned by humanity's victory, was forced to acknowledge them as equals. Some species offered alliances, others prepared for future conflicts. But one thing was certain: humanity was no longer a backwater species. They were a force to be reckoned with. Epilogue. Months later, Dr. Carter stood on the deck of the flagship, now named the Amanda Reeves. She gazed out at the stars, her heart heavy with loss, but filled with hope. The fleet was now Earth's shield, and humanity's unity had reached unprecedented heights. But as the fleet prepared for its first journey beyond Earth, Carter couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy held even greater challenges. The core had hinted at something, a warning left by the ancient humans. The Unbound were not the only threat, it had said. Something worse lies in the void. For now, humanity celebrated their victory, but their journey was only beginning.